Women don't test you. They don't give you these congruence, these so-called shit tests to manipulate you. They simply want to see if you're actually as confident as you portray yourself to be. Because if she's supposed to invest her entire life's future and her genetic offspring into you, she better make sure that you're worth it. A congruence test is to see whether you can remain emotionally non-reactive. And I'm basically already spilling the gold. The way you pass a so-called congruence test is by remaining emotionally non-reactive. The worst thing you can do when she teases you for something is to be emotionally reactive. You gotta own your reality. There's 3 ways to pass it: to accept and amplify the premise, to misinterpret, or to simply stay calm and relaxed, or to even call her out. So one of many congruence tests could be, oh, you're ginger, or gingers aren't usually my type. Now, if she says this, then probably she won't be your wife anyway, but sometimes they say this as a tease. Or, oh, really, your parents didn't give you up for adoption because you were a ginger? And then you can accept and amplify the premise, be like, well, you know, they never wanted to have me to begin with. The second I was born in the hospital, I was actually born with a big bush of ginger hair in my head. And there was another child, and then you can go into the detailed description of what that child might have looked like, and they tried to swap it, but they got caught, so they ended up with me, haha, right? And then you just amplify the premise. Because what you do is you take the premise and you drive to such an extreme to make fun of it. It shows confidence. Same as self-deprecation. Self-deprecation is an amazing form of humor if it's not used too much. If you don't use it at all, you miss out on an unbelievable chance to portray yourself in a very confident manner. But if you use it too much, you also come across as inconfident. So you want to accept and amplify the premise. But whatever she tells you, just understand that you have to be grounded enough in your reality as a man. There's 2 frames. There's your reality, and then there's her reality. The more you go into her reality, the more you give up your frame, the less she'll respect you. If you want her to stay truly attracted to you, which is the opportunity that a so-called congruence test provides you with, if you want attraction to go up afterwards, you have to stay anchored in your own emotional reality, in your convictions of how you see the world. Because if you constantly give up your frame and your convictions and your beliefs at the drop of a hat just because she says something, if she can make you insecure just by using a couple of words, how on earth is she supposed to have any faith in your ability as a man to conquer life's challenges in 17 years when you're married and you have a family together? You have to be firm in your convictions. And the only reason you're doing well in your career or your business or whatever area in your life you're doing well in is because you were open-minded enough to reflect. You're not trying to run through a wall with your head, pretending that you know everything. One of the defining characteristics of a good man, what makes you a good man, is a degree of open-mindedness and self-reflection. But a date is not that. You're not on the date for her to teach you something. One of the biggest mistakes you can make on a first date is the reverse student-teacher frame. Getting her to teach you something. You can teach me languages, you can teach me dancing. She doesn't want that. She doesn't want to be your teacher. Attraction gets destroyed immediately if you place that responsibility onto her. If you're going to teach her something, that makes her feel alive, that allows her to be in her feminine, which is fantastic. But if you go into the reverse student-teacher frame and you place the responsibility of her teaching you something and her leading, then she'll dry out emotionally and physically. That's not what she wants, trust me. So you have to be in your reality. Just understand, when there's a congruence test, there's a clash rather, of 2 frames. There's a so-called frame battle. Now, I'm going to talk about in a second, if I remember, about how not everything is a frame battle. But sometimes there's a frame battle. She says something, and you disagree with it. You say, well, I was going to talk about freedom of speech, for example. If you like freedom of speech and she thinks censorship is a great idea, that's not a frame battle. That's a lack of compatibility, actually. Probably a really good example to illustrate that. Sometimes you have a frame battle, which can be a congruence test, and other times you just have an utter lack of compatibility regarding your values. So if I say freedom of speech is amazing and she thinks things should be censored, well, then you have a lack of compatibility. You probably shouldn't be in a relationship with her. But if there is a little congruence test, so for example, I think sushi is gay. I know, sushi's not gay, And I say this obviously jokingly, right? No, it is. Why? And then you go on some elaborate rant as to why you think, elaborate rant as to why you might think it is. And then she can either agree or disagree. In that moment, you have a frame battle. If you can convince her that sushi is gay, you win and attraction goes up. If you can't convince her that sushi is gay, attraction goes down. Obviously a bit of a tease. But if you can hold your frame and you can say playful things with a ridiculous degree of certainty, not lying, not making up nonsense, but playfully owning your reality, attraction goes up. Because remember, the merit of what you contribute in a business conversation is the utility of it, or the merit, the actual merit. How valuable is it? How much utility does it have? And how right is it? In a dating context, in a social context, it's not about a logical exchange of information. The merit is the certainty you say it with. Her feeling certain around you. Why is it that multimillionaires or billionaires get cheated on by their wives with bartenders who have various drug addictions and who couldn't nearly provide the same amount of financial stability? Well, because they make them feel alive and they have a degree of certainty and masculinity that those dudes might be lacking in that area. She wants to feel alive. And by the way, little tangent, again, to add another one, it is not about the money, right? You will never win the money again, no matter how rich you are already or not. There's always somebody richer. You can't compete with that. Because if she has made money, her fundamental value, if the primary reason as to why she's in a relationship with you is financial, she'll always find somebody who has more of that, and you're going to lose anyway. It's the emotions you create within her. And you can create amazing emotions, excitement within her if you own your frame and you look at her. And you just tease her a little bit, and she says something, and you just raise an eyebrow and say, really? Sometimes less is more. Sometimes more is more, and you want to bring more energy and you got to bring more volume. But sometimes less is more. So just understand, when she says something, take her as a human being serious. Respect her, understand the needs, but don't get too hung up on every word. One of the most valuable takeaways from this video, maybe the single most valuable takeaway from this video, other than remaining emotionally non-reactive, is to not get too hung up on every little word. Yes, take her serious as a person, but men and women. In German, we say a lot when the day is long. We talk a lot. Don't get too hung up on every single word. But she said this or he said that. Okay, so be grounded, be calm. Validate yourself. Do you have an internal or an external locus of validation? Is your emotional reality stronger or hers? And this never means telling her what to do or not being open-minded to her feedback. I'm talking about playful, teasy, flirtatious interactions. If you're actually faced, as I alluded to earlier, with a lack of compatibility regarding your values, well, then you want to move on. Then you want to end it sooner rather than later. And I'm actually a fan of ending the date 7 minutes in if you recognize, well, this really isn't meant for us, because then you don't waste her time or yours. But in these playful little interactions, own your frame. Don't give up. So you say, oh yeah, no, you're right. Oh yeah, no, I get it. Own it. It makes her feel alive. Because remember, she's evaluating even short-term dating possibilities, but you're looking for something long-term. Women are always evaluating the attractiveness of a man unconsciously towards long-term future behavior. Is he the type of man that I can see myself with for the long term? And yes, even women who might just be looking for something for the short term have an unconscious operating mechanism running in their brain that check whether you're this type of guy who's grounded, calm, and confident, who's not shaken up by a couple of words. Because remember, if she can make you insecure just by uttering a couple of words, you deserve to lose. So take her serious, respect her, be open-minded, and don't become a robot either. You know these guys who are too cool for school are just like, oh yeah, we don't have any emotional reaction anymore? No, that's not what I'm talking about at all. But you validate your own emotional reality. And if you want me to help you personally find the right girlfriend or wife, click the link below and apply for a free initial consultation. Looking forward to speaking with you soon. Take care.